That's an excellent question. What is medical marijuana? It depends on who you ask. If you ask heavy marijuana users, all marijuana is medical. If you ask the Food and Drug Administration, no marijuana is medical. It's a very complex question because marijuana has 100 and some odd constituents. It unfortunately seems to be all about the THC, or the delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, which is what makes you high, but that doesn't seem to have much medical value. Cannabidiol is the real medical piece of medical marijuana. So we know in terms of safety profile generally, the more THC and the less cannabidiol that you have, the greater the risks. This is particularly true for mental health issues such as the development of psychosis in those who are predisposed to it. But again, right now, the marijuana that's out there is not the marijuana of my youth because it's really high in THC, and cannabidiol has essentially been bred out of it. The neuromysticism of medical marijuana and marijuana generally is due to the fact that, it's become almost a religion, almost like the Rastafarian religion, which, places great importance on marijuana. And unfortunately, the advocates, the zealots, pro-marijuana, pro-medical marijuana zealots, they ignore the data which we're starting to generate that show lack of efficacy in many places, mounting safety concerns, and they're from the school of, it's natural, it's got to be good, and I try to tell them that so is the opium poppy from whence heroin comes, but they don't seem to listen. And this includes some scientists, which is really tragic because their work should be informing practice. The biggest problem is that all the marijuana used in the United States in studies has to come from the University of Mississippi School of Agriculture. The highest THC content that they provide is 7%. When we look at reality, in the dispensaries, about 30% now of the marijuana or cannabis product that is bought is 80 to 90% THC. So any research on something that is maybe 8, 9% of what's really being used becomes automatically invalid, and that's tragic. So we have to rely progressively more on research being done in foreign countries that kind of get it, and we just don't get it. Well, in terms of pain application, we know that marijuana and THC are effective to a degree for neuropathic pain. The problem is it's generally dose-specific, meaning the effect is dose-specific, meaning more THC, then the better the relief of the neuropathic pain. So if we're looking at a functional medicine approach, trying to get patients back to work and have quality of life, and they're smoking very high THC marijuana, then they're going to just be stoned and not going to be able to work and not be able to function very well. The synergy between marijuana and opioids is something still under investigation. Now, my research group in Boston, we just had a paper accepted for publication last week in pain medicine. And what we looked at, because we have an opioid management program, is the initial immunoassay. And what we found was that if the immunoassay was positive for THC, then over the following year of treatment, there was a 2.5-fold increase in the likelihood of opioid aberrancy. So bottom line is that the data are not particularly good now. They're all over the place. A lot of these studies are showing up in very lousy journals. I've published marijuana studies in the Journal of Pain Research, Journal of Pain, this one that's coming out in Pain Medicine, but that's not the majority of the work, and as Mark Twain said, there's lies, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics, and with a little statistical manipulation, you can come up with something that a journal that does not aggressively vet the methodology will publish. And if it's published, it must be true. It's like, well, I saw it on the internet, it must be true. That same kind of thinking. So as a scientist, I struggle with this because, again, we're supposed to be informing practice, and around medical cannabinoids, we're not doing a very good job of it. My advice to frontline practitioners is to obtain education. Right now, Florida, which is a relatively new medical marijuana state, requires 2 CMEs if a doctor is going to authorize. Right now, I've been commissioned by an education company to put together a 4-hour module that's going to be used in Pennsylvania when their marijuana law takes effect, medical marijuana law takes effect. It will be a 4-hour CME credit. You can also come to PAINWeek and Pain Weekend because we have so much education around cannabinoids that is up-to-date, state-of-the-art. We talk not only about medical marijuana generally, but about the science and oftentimes the lack thereof.